Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. How do you feel when you hold money in your hands? For many, it's excitement. For others, it's fear. And for some, it's not enough. Here's the truth. The way you speak to your money, the words you attach to it, can shape the flow of abundance in your life. Florence Scovel Shinn, a great teacher of spiritual success, once said, "Your word is your wand." Think about that for a second. If your word is your wand, then every time you speak, you're casting a spell. So when you say, "Money never stays with me," or "I can't afford that," or "I'll never get ahead," what spell are you casting? Exactly. You're commanding money to run away. But what if, instead, you blessed it? What if every time you held $1, you whispered, "Money comes to me easily. Money loves me. Money expands in my hands." Can you feel the difference? Let me give you a real example. A woman once told me that she struggled with bills piling up. Every paycheck disappeared. She said, "Money burns a hole in my pocket." And guess what? That became her reality. But then, she tried something radical. Instead of cursing her money, she blessed it. She started saying, "Every dollar I spend returns to me multiplied." And within months, opportunities appeared. Her side business took off. Unexpected refunds came. She felt lighter, freer, more in control. Friends, that wasn't magic, it was mindset. Now, imagine holding money like you would hold a seed. If you call it small, useless, or weak, it never grows. But if you bless it, water it, speak life into it, it multiplies. So here's what I want you to say loud and clear. Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. I am a magnet for abundance. Every dollar I touch brings more wealth into my life. Say it. Believe it. Live it. Because abundance isn't about chasing money. It's about aligning your words, your energy, and your belief with the flow of wealth that's already waiting for you. So, next time you hold money in your hands, don't just see paper. See possibility. See growth. See freedom. And remember this. What you say over your money, you say over your life. Choose your words wisely. Thank you. Following are the key points that you will listen in this video. Your words carry power. They shape your financial reality. Negative statements about money repel wealth. Blessing money and speaking positively invites abundance. Treat money like a seed, nurture it with positive words to make it grow. Simple affirmations can shift your mindset and open new opportunities. Abundance begins not with money itself, but with how you speak to it. When you open your mouth, you're not just making sounds. You're creating. Every word is an architect, shaping the invisible blueprint of your life, brick by brick, line by line. And when it comes to money, the blueprint you design with your words is more powerful than any paycheck or bank statement. Florence Scovel Shinn once said, "Your word is your wand." Imagine holding a wand in your hand every time you speak. Do you realize the weight of that? You are either casting spells of abundance or curses of lack with every casual phrase that leaves your lips. Think back to the last time you said, "I can't afford that." Maybe it was in a store, or while scrolling through something online you wished you had. It seems harmless, just a fact. But pause for a moment. That phrase is more than words, it's a declaration. You're not just stating a temporary financial situation, you're stamping a command onto your subconscious. I can't afford. I can't have. I don't deserve. The mind listens. The world listens. And so, your reality begins to mirror the spell you've spoken. Let me paint you a picture. A man named Daniel always dreamed of traveling the world. But every time a friend mentioned vacations, his answer was automatic. "That's too expensive. I'll never be able to afford something like that." He thought he was being realistic, but what he didn't realize was that each repetition of those words was etching deeper grooves into his reality. He never even looked for deals, never explored possibilities, never believed opportunities could exist for him. Why? Because his words had already built the walls of his prison. Now imagine another person, let's call her Sophia. Sophia didn't have much in her bank account either. But her language was different. When faced with something she desired but couldn't immediately purchase, Instead of saying, "I can't afford it," she whispered to herself, "I'm preparing for it. Money will show up when I'm ready." These words didn't magically drop cash into her lap overnight, but they shifted her perception. Suddenly, she saw opportunities where others saw closed doors. She noticed side gigs. She found herself motivated to learn new skills. She came across travel programs with discounts she'd never bothered to search for before. And yes, in time, she took the trip she once only dreamed of. What changed? Her words changed, and her reality followed. You see, words are not passive. They carry energy. Every sentence you speak about money is like planting a seed in the soil of your future. Negative words plant weeds that choke growth. Positive words plant roots of abundance. The tragedy is, most people are unaware of the garden they're tending with their tongue. They speak lack as casually as they breathe, not realizing they're watering the very scarcity they despise. Have you ever noticed how children absorb language? Tell a child often enough that they're smart, and they grow into confidence. Tell them often enough that they're troublemakers, and they grow into rebellion. It's not magic, it's programming. Adults are no different. When you constantly feed yourself words like, "I'm broke, I'm struggling, money slips away from me," you begin to live in alignment with that script. Your subconscious takes it as truth, and soon your choices, your actions, and even the way opportunities approach you are filtered through that belief. I once heard someone say, "Money doesn't grow on trees." It's a phrase we've all heard since childhood. And while it's technically true, think of the weight of that statement. As kids, we absorbed the message that money is scarce, difficult, limited. Did anyone ever tell us the opposite? Did anyone ever say, "Money flows like rivers when you open the right channels," or "Opportunities multiply when you speak life into them"? Probably not. So, we grow up repeating phrases of lack without questioning them. Let's take a deeper look at this idea. Suppose you hold a $10 bill in your hand. What do you say to it? Do you sigh and complain that it's not enough? Do you dismiss it as small, insignificant, almost useless? Imagine if that bill could hear you. Imagine it feeling unappreciated, unwanted, pushed away. Would it want to return to you? Now imagine instead you looked at it with gratitude. You whispered, "Thank you." You're small now, but you carry the seed of more. You're growing, multiplying, expanding. Suddenly, that bill feels like a friend, a loyal ally. And like any friend who feels valued, it brings more of its kind back to visit. This isn't just poetic, it's practical psychology. The words you speak influence your emotions. Your emotions influence your actions. And your actions create your outcomes. If your words about money are rooted in scarcity, you feel hopeless. In hopelessness, you stop trying. You don't notice chances. You dismiss opportunities as not for me. But if your words about money are rooted in abundance, you feel empowered. Empowered people act differently. They try, they risk, they create, they persist. And eventually, they succeed. Think of two farmers standing in a field. Both have seeds in their hands. One farmer says, "This soil is useless, nothing will grow here." He tosses his seeds carelessly, barely tending them, already expecting failure. The other farmer says, "This soil is fertile. Every seed I plant here will grow." He waters, nurtures, and cares for his seeds with expectation. Now, which farmer reaps a harvest? The answer is obvious, but here's the twist: the soil is the same. It's the belief, shaped by words, that determines how much care is given and how much fruit is produced. Money works the same way. Even science backs this up. Studies show that words spoken repeatedly can rewire the brain. Affirmations, when spoken consistently, create new neural pathways, making the mind more receptive to opportunity and problem-solving. In other words, when you say, "I am abundant, money flows to me," you're not lying to yourself, you're training your brain to look for ways to make it real. And when your brain believes it, your reality bends to meet the belief. So, I ask you, what words have you been speaking over your finances lately? Do you tell your paycheck, "It's never enough"? Do you joke with friends, "I'm broke, I'm always broke"? Those words may feel harmless, but they are incantations, subtle commands shaping your destiny. Or do you speak with power, saying, "This is just the beginning, more is coming, I am open to receive." The difference between poverty and prosperity often begins not in the wallet, but in the mouth. Words are invisible builders. You don't see their work immediately. But day after day, repetition after repetition, they construct the reality you live in. And the most dangerous words are not the ones shouted in anger, but the quiet ones muttered without thought. Be careful what you call your money. Be careful how you describe your financial life. Because your words are listening, your subconscious is listening, and the universe is listening too. When you speak negatively about money, you don't just describe your situation, you push money away from you. It's almost like standing at the edge of a river and turning your back on the water, then wondering why you feel so thirsty. Negative words are like closing the gates, shutting off the flow, and then blaming life for being dry. Most people don't even realize they are doing it because these words have been passed down, repeated so often they sound like truth. But what feels like truth is really a habit, and habits shape reality. Think about how casually people complain about money. It's never enough. I can't get ahead. Every time I make a little, something bad happens. Do you hear the despair in those sentences? Do you feel the weight they carry? Imagine repeating them day after day, week after week, year after year. The repetition carves a groove in the mind like water carving into stone. Soon, the person doesn't even try to look for abundance anymore. Why would they? They've already declared with their own lips that lack is their destiny. Let me share a story. There was a man named Alex who used to say, almost as a joke, "Money hates me." Every time he got a bonus, a car repair came up. Every time he saved a little, something unexpected wiped it out. To him, it became proof. "See, I told you money hates me." He didn't realize his words were not just observations but invitations. He had built a relationship with money based on resentment, and just like any relationship built on bitterness, it didn't last. He was driving money away with his tongue. Now compare that to another man, Jordan. Jordan didn't have a perfect financial life either. Bills piled up, emergencies came, struggles were real. But he never spoke as if money hated him. He never said, "I'll never have enough." Instead, he said, "This is a challenge, but I'm learning. Money is coming to me. Solutions are showing up." His language created openness. He still faced setbacks, but instead of seeing them as curses, he saw them as temporary. Because he didn't label himself as broke or unlucky, his energy stayed open for ideas, partnerships, and opportunities. In time, his financial situation shifted. Here's the secret most people don't see: negative words don't just describe reality, they feed it. They act like magnets, pulling more of the same energy toward you. When you constantly declare lack, your mind gets trained to spot lack. You overlook the good, dismiss the possible, and sabotage the opportunities right in front of you. Have you ever met someone who constantly says, "I'm always unlucky"? What happens? They walk right past chances because their brain filters them out. Words condition perception, and perception determines action. Let's take this deeper with an analogy. Imagine your words are like music playing in your house. If the music is soft, uplifting, filled with harmony, it attracts peace, joy, and good company. People feel drawn to that space. But if the music is harsh, negative, filled with anger and noise, people avoid it. Money works the same way. If your words are constant complaints, curses, and bitterness, the energy of money avoids you. It doesn't feel welcomed. But if your words are filled with gratitude, possibility, and openness, money feels at home with you. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote that words are powerful commands to the subconscious. If you keep saying, "I'm broke," your subconscious accepts it as identity. And here's the dangerous part: once it becomes identity, you protect it. You start living to prove it right. If you believe you're broke, you'll reject ideas that could make you wealthy because they don't fit your truth. That's why negative words are so destructive. They don't just repel wealth, they blind you from even seeing it. Think of someone walking through a forest with their eyes closed, muttering, "There are no paths here, no way out." And yet, right in front of them, there's a clear trail. But they don't see it, because their words convinced their mind to shut down. Negative statements about money do the same. They blind you to doors that were already open. I once heard a woman say to her daughter, "Don't expect too much out of life. Money doesn't come easy, and you'll always struggle." The daughter grew up believing it. She worked hard but never allowed herself to dream bigger because she had already accepted struggle as her destiny. Her mother didn't mean harm, she thought she was protecting her child with realism. But what she passed down wasn't wisdom, it was a curse spoken through words. Let me ask you, what phrases have you inherited? Maybe you've heard, "Money is the root of all evil." Or, "Rich people are greedy." Or, "We're just not the kind of people who get ahead." These are not universal truths. They're opinions, soaked in negativity, disguised as facts. And if you keep repeating them, they become the architecture of your financial life. But the beauty of this truth is that it gives you power. Because if negative words repel wealth, positive words attract it. You can reverse the pattern. Instead of saying, "I'll never get ahead," you can say, "I am moving forward every day." Instead of, "Money always leaves me," you can say, "Money returns to me multiplied." Instead of, "I'm broke," you can say, "I'm preparing for abundance." These new words shift your energy, open your perception, and change the way money relates to you. Imagine walking into a room where you're always insulted, dismissed, treated as worthless. How long would you want to stay? Not long. Now imagine walking into a room where you're appreciated, valued, and welcomed. That's the room you'd return to again and again. Money is no different. Negative statements push it out of the room. Positive statements invite it in. The truth is, your financial situation is not only about numbers, it's about the conversation you're having with your life. Every "I can't" builds walls. Every "I can" builds doors. Every "I'm broke" shuts the windows. Every "I'm blessed" lets light in. The question is not whether money hates you or loves you, the question is, how are you speaking to it? Are you cursing it, or are you blessing it? If your language is filled with negativity, don't be surprised if wealth seems to avoid you. It's not avoiding you out of cruelty, it's avoiding the vibration you're creating. Words send out signals, like ripples across a pond. What you send out is what comes back. So I ask you again, what do you say about your money when no one is listening? Because even when no one else hears, the universe does. Your subconscious does. And money does. Most people don't realize that money has ears. Not physical ears, of course, but a sensitivity to energy. When you bless it, you invite it closer. When you curse it, you send it away. Words are not just vibrations in the air, they carry intention, and intention leaves a mark on everything it touches. Blessing money is like giving it permission to multiply, while cursing it is like locking it in a dark room and wondering why it never grows. Picture this: a woman receives her paycheck, and the first thing she says is, "Ooh, this won't last me a week." That phrase is not just frustration, it's a rejection. She has pushed away the very thing she needs more of. Contrast that with someone who receives the same amount and whispers, "Thank you. This is growing. This is a seed, and it will multiply." The second person has blessed the money. She has opened the door for more to come because her words invite expansion, not limitation. Florence Scovel Shinn often reminded people that gratitude and blessing are magnetic. She said, "Gratitude is the law of increase, and complaint is the law of decrease." Think about that. When you complain about your money, you shrink it in your spirit. When you bless it, you expand it in your heart, and life responds by bringing more. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Richard who always struggled to save. He lived paycheck to paycheck, no matter how much he earned. One day, after reading about the power of words, he tried something unusual. He began blessing every single transaction. When he paid his bills, he said, "I bless this electricity bill. I am grateful for the light in my home." When he bought groceries, he whispered, "I bless this food. Money returns to me multiplied." At first, it felt strange, even silly. But something shifted. He noticed he wasn't as resentful when money left his hands. He felt lighter. And then, opportunities began to open. His company offered unexpected overtime. He was invited into a side project. And slowly, his savings grew. He realized it wasn't magic, it was a change in attitude that changed his actions, and those actions attracted results. You see, blessing money is not about superstition. It's about energy. When you bless something, you change the way you relate to it. And when your relationship changes, your behavior follows. Imagine if you blessed every dollar you touched, instead of dismissing it as too little. How would you treat it differently? How would it feel in your hands? You might hold it with respect. You might spend it more wisely. You might even save it with a sense of joy instead of fear. That subtle shift creates a new reality. Let's use an analogy. Think of money like a guest in your home. If you greet your guest by saying, "You never stay long. You're never enough. You always cause me stress," do you think that guest will want to visit again? But if you say, "I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming. You're always welcome," the guest feels appreciated and wants to return. Blessing money is exactly like that, it makes wealth feel welcome in your life. Another way to look at it is through the lens of planting. Suppose you hold a small seed in your hand. You could complain, "This seed is useless. It's too small. It will never feed me." Or you could say, "This seed has life inside it. With care, it will multiply into a harvest." Which approach will lead you to plant, water, and nurture the seed? The one filled with blessing. And in the same way you speak to money determines whether you plant it with expectation or throw it away with hopelessness. Let me ask you, when was the last time you actually spoke words of blessing over your wallet, your bank account, or even your loose change? Most people never have. They speak of bills, debts, and struggles, but rarely of gratitude. And yet, the simple act of blessing, even blessing the little, creates the opening for the greater. It's the paradox of abundance. You attract more by appreciating what you already have. A friend of mine once shared her practice. Every time she received money, no matter how small, she said aloud, "Thank you. I bless you. You're multiplying even now." And whenever she spent, she said, "What I give returns to me multiplied." Over time, she noticed her stress about money faded. She still faced ups and downs, but she carried peace. And because she felt peace, she made clearer decisions. She stopped buying things out of desperation. She invested more wisely. She found herself in the right place at the right time. All because she shifted her words from complaint to blessing. Here's the truth. Money is not just numbers in a bank account. It is energy, flowing in and out, responding to the words and emotions we attach to it. Bless it, and you expand that energy. Curse it, and you shrink it. And the choice is always yours. So I challenge you, the next time you pay a bill, don't sigh in frustration. Say, "I bless this. I am grateful for the service it represents. More money is already flowing back to me." The next time you receive $1, don't dismiss it as just one. Say, "Thank you. You are growing into many." Watch how your relationship with money begins to heal. Because blessing is healing. Blessing transforms. And when you speak life over your money, you're not just inviting more dollars, you're inviting peace, clarity, and opportunity. You're training your mind to see possibilities instead of limitations. You're aligning yourself with the flow of abundance that has always been around you, waiting for you to open the door with your words. So, bless your money. Speak to it with love. Call it a friend, a seed, a partner. And watch as it begins to feel at home in your life, multiplying, expanding, and returning again and again. Money is like a seed. And like every seed, it carries hidden potential that you cannot see at first glance. If you look at a single seed in your hand, it seems small, powerless, insignificant. You could crush it with your fingers, dismiss it as useless, or toss it aside. But if you honor it, plant it, water it, and protect it, that same seed can grow into a tree that feeds you for years, maybe even generations. The seed has always contained that potential, it just needed the right care. Money works in the same way. Too often, people look at a small amount of money and say, "This is nothing." They curse the seed. They belittle it. And then they wonder why it never grows into something greater. Imagine a farmer who stood in his field holding a handful of seeds, saying, "These seeds are useless, too small to matter. They'll never produce anything for me." If that farmer threw the seeds on the ground carelessly or refused to plant them, what harvest would he see? Nothing. Not because the seeds lacked power, but because the farmer lacked vision. Now picture another farmer who takes the same handful of seeds and says, "This may look small now, but inside each one is a harvest. I bless this seed, I plant it with care, and I trust it will multiply." That farmer waters the ground, removes the weeds, and waits with expectation. And in time, the field flourishes. That's the difference between people who curse their money and people who bless it. One dismisses the seed, the other nurtures it. Let me share a story. A young woman named Maria once told me that she felt ashamed of her savings account. She had only managed to put away a few $100s, and in her eyes, it was nothing compared to what she needed. Every time she looked at her balance, she would sigh and say, "This is so little. It's embarrassing." Her words were like poison to the seed. Instead of nurturing her small beginning, she cursed it. And because she cursed it, she felt no motivation to add to it. She spent carelessly, avoided checking her account, and the balance stayed stagnant. One day, she learned a new practice, blessing the seed. She began to speak differently. Each time she deposited even the smallest amount, she whispered, "Thank you. This is growing. This is the beginning of my harvest." She started to see her savings not as too little, but as a seed in the soil. That shift changed her energy. She no longer avoided her bank account, she looked at it with excitement. She found herself saving more consistently, choosing wiser spending habits, and even attracting opportunities to earn more. Within a year, her once embarrassing balance had multiplied into something significant. What changed? The seed didn't change. Her words did. Think of your money like a tiny plant in a pot. If you criticize it daily, saying, "You'll never grow, you're worthless, you're too small," what happens? You neglect it. You forget to water it. You may even leave it in the dark. But if you speak to it with kindness, "You're growing, you're strong, you'll become something beautiful," you take care of it. You water it, move it toward the sunlight, and protect it from harm. And because you nurture it, it thrives. The same applies to every dollar that passes through your hands. When you call it not enough, you starve the seed. When you call it a blessing that multiplies, you nourish it. The words you speak are like water and sunlight for the garden of your finances. Florence Scovel Shinn often taught that what you bless increases. She said, "Words of blessing produce increase, words of cursing produce decrease." Imagine saying to your money, "You're alive. You're multiplying even now. You are planting faith into the soil of your life." Faith is like fertilizer, it speeds the growth. Complaints, on the other hand, are like weeds, they choke the roots before they can even take hold. Let's look at another example. A man named David once told me, "I'll start saving when I have more money. Right now, there's no point, it's too little." That was his mistake. He refused to plant the seed he had because he was waiting for a forest to appear first. But no forest grows without a seed. By dismissing the small, he closed the door to the great. Later, when he finally decided to start with what he had, just a few dollars each week, he was amazed at how quickly it grew. The act of planting created momentum. The seed began to multiply, not because the world suddenly changed, but because he finally treated his money like something worth nurturing. This principle is not only about savings, it's about every part of financial life. Suppose you earn a modest paycheck. You could curse it by saying, "This isn't enough, I'll never get ahead." Or you could bless it by saying, "I'm grateful for this paycheck. It's a seed that's opening the way for more." One approach leads to despair and careless spending. The other leads to gratitude, better decisions, and eventually, increase. Even your words about spending matter. If you say, "This bill is killing me," you're cursing the seed. But if you say, "I bless this bill. I'm grateful I can pay for light, water, food, and comfort. What I give comes back multiplied," you are planting faith. And that faith shapes your actions and your results. There's something mysterious about the way seeds grow. You don't see the roots forming underground. You don't see the tiny movements as the seed splits and life begins to sprout. All you see at first is soil. But if you trust the process, if you water, if you wait, One day the sprout breaks through. Money works the same way. You may not see immediate results from blessing and nurturing what you have. But beneath the surface, something is shifting. Your mindset is changing. Your energy is attracting. Your decisions are aligning. And in time, the results appear. So, the question is, are you cursing your seeds or blessing them? Are you calling your money small, weak, and useless, or are you calling it fertile, multiplying, and abundant? Every dollar is a seed. Every coin is a seed. Every paycheck is a seed. How you speak to it will decide whether it shrivels in your hands or grows into a harvest. Treat money like a seed. Hold it with respect. Bless it with words of life. Plant it in faith. And then watch, patiently and expectantly, as it grows into more than you ever imagined. Because hidden inside the smallest seed is a forest waiting to be born if only you will nurture it with the right words. Words are seeds, but affirmations are the daily water that helps them grow. An affirmation may seem small, even ordinary, just a short phrase spoken into the air. But repetition turns those phrases into a force, one that shapes your thinking, rewires your brain, and changes how you see the world. Affirmations are not empty words, they are instructions to your subconscious, and your subconscious always obeys. Imagine waking up every morning and the first thing you say is, "I'm tired, I'm stressed, I don't have enough." How do you think the rest of your day unfolds? Your energy sinks. Your decisions follow that heaviness. You drag yourself through the hours. Now imagine starting the same day by saying, "Today is filled with opportunities. Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. I am ready to receive." The problems may not vanish instantly, but your energy rises. You walk differently, you look differently, and because of that, the world responds differently. Let me tell you about a woman named Claire. For years she struggled with debt. Every time she opened her wallet, her chest tightened, and her first words were always, "I'll never get out of this hole." That statement became her reality. She lived in the shadow of her own words. Then one day, she decided to experiment. She wrote down 3 affirmations. "I am free from debt. I attract abundance. Every dollar I touch multiplies." At first, she didn't believe them. They felt fake, like lies. But she repeated them anyway, morning, noon, and night. Slowly, something shifted. She began to feel a little lighter when she looked at her bills. She found herself searching for solutions instead of sinking into despair. Within months, she negotiated better payment terms, found a part-time opportunity she had overlooked, and her debt began shrinking. She told me, "It wasn't the affirmations themselves that paid the bills, but they changed how I saw myself. And that changed everything." That's the power of affirmations. They don't magically drop money into your lap, but they change the lens through which you see the world. And when the lens changes, opportunities that were invisible suddenly become clear. Think of the brain like a radio. If you set the dial to the scarcity station, all you'll hear is noise about struggle, fear, and lack. Affirmations help you change the dial. They tune you into the abundance station, where the signals are clearer, and ideas come more easily. You can't pick up a station you're not tuned into. Likewise, you can't recognize abundance if your mind is tuned only to scarcity. Florence Scovel Shinn believed strongly in the spoken word. She said, "You can't change conditions by fighting them. You change them by speaking new words of truth." Affirmations are those words of truth. Even if your outer world doesn't yet reflect them, speaking them begins to shift your inner world. And once the inner changes, the outer eventually follows. Think of someone learning to play piano. At first, their fingers stumble, the notes sound wrong, and it feels awkward. But with practice, the hands learn, the mind adapts, and music begins to flow. Affirmations work the same way. At first, they feel strange. You may think, "I don't believe this." But repetition trains the subconscious. Eventually, the new belief becomes natural, and your life begins to play in harmony with it. Let me give you another example. A man named Leo grew up hearing his parents argue about money. The constant message he absorbed was, "Money causes stress." As an adult, even when he earned well, he couldn't enjoy it. He always feared losing it. His subconscious was programmed with conflict. Then, a mentor gave him one simple affirmation: money is a tool for freedom and joy. At first, it felt like a lie. But he said it daily. He wrote it on sticky notes around his house. He repeated it whenever fear rose up. Over time, his relationship with money softened. He started using it to create experiences instead of hoarding it in fear. He invested with confidence instead of anxiety. And as he relaxed, more opportunities flowed to him. His affirmation rewrote the script of his life. The beauty of affirmations is their simplicity. You don't need complicated rituals. Just words, spoken with intention, repeated with consistency. The key is not to wait until you feel like it. You speak them until you feel it. Emotion follows repetition. Science supports this, too. Neuroscientists have found that repeated positive statements actually build new neural pathways in the brain. In other words, every time you say, "I am abundant," you're strengthening a mental muscle. Just like exercise shapes the body, affirmations shape the mind. And a shaped mind creates a shaped reality. Think of affirmations like drops of water on stone. A single drop seems meaningless. But drop after drop, day after day, carves into the hardest rock. Your repeated words carve new grooves into your subconscious, and eventually, your life begins to flow in the direction of those grooves. So what kinds of affirmations can shift your mindset? They can be simple. They don't need to be grand or poetic. Phrases like, "I am a magnet for wealth." "Money flows to me with ease." "Everything I spend returns to me multiplied." "I am worthy of abundance." "I live in overflow." Each phrase is like a seed planted in the soil of your mind. And the more you repeat them, the more they take root. Here's a practice you can try. Each morning, before looking at your phone or stepping into the day, speak 3 affirmations about money out loud. Feel the words, even if at first they feel untrue. Do it again at night before sleep. Over time, notice how your emotions shift. Notice how your confidence grows. And notice how opportunities you once missed begin to reveal themselves. Because affirmations don't just change your mood, they change your awareness. Think of the person who always says, "Nothing good ever happens to me." Do they notice when something good does happen? Usually not. Their affirmation blinds them. Now think of the person who says, "Good things are always happening for me." They spot blessings everywhere. Both people live in the same world, but their affirmations create different realities. Affirmations are not magic spells, they are alignment tools. They bring your words, your thoughts, and your energy into harmony with abundance. And once you're in harmony, life has no choice but to echo it back. So the question is, what affirmations are you repeating, consciously or unconsciously? Because whether you realize it or not, you already affirm something. If you keep saying, "I'm broke," that's an affirmation. If you keep saying, "Money is hard," that's an affirmation. The difference is whether you choose affirmations that serve you or ones that sabotage you. Choose wisely. Speak life. Repeat daily. And watch as doors you once thought were closed begin to open, simply because your words unlocked them. Abundance doesn't start in your wallet. It doesn't start in your bank account. It doesn't even start with the paycheck you bring home. It begins with the words you speak to money, the energy you carry toward it, the way you treat it when it shows up in your life. Most people don't realize this, but money is like a guest. It responds to the way you greet it. If every time it enters your life you say, "This isn't enough," or, "You never stay," what does that guest feel? Unwanted. Unappreciated. And what do guests who feel unwanted do? They leave. But if money is welcomed with gratitude, if you say, "I'm so thankful for every dollar that comes to me," suddenly it feels different. Suddenly, it lingers, multiplies, grows roots in your life. Florence Scovel Shinn once said, "Bless your money and it will bless you." That's a radical idea, because most people curse their money without realizing it. They hold a bill in their hand and sigh, "This won't be enough." They open their wallet and groan, "It's empty again." Those words carry energy. They plant seeds of lack. And lack attracts more lack. But imagine if you treated every dollar like a friend. Picture a young woman named Sophia. She grew up hearing her parents argue constantly about money. Their words were sharp: money's never enough, we'll never get ahead, it's just one problem after another. Those words sank deep into her subconscious. By the time she was an adult, she repeated the same script. Every payday she'd say, "It's gone before it even arrives." And that became her reality. Then one day she heard something that stopped her cold: money goes where it feels appreciated. It hit her like lightning. She realized she had been speaking to money like it was her enemy. She decided to change. The next time she got paid, she held the cash in her hand and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for coming to me. Thank you for what you will allow me to do." She started blessing her money. When she paid bills, she said, "I bless this payment. I'm grateful for the service it provides me." It felt strange at first, even silly. But over time, her relationship with money softened. She stopped resenting it. She stopped fearing it. And slowly, her financial life began to stabilize. She attracted new opportunities. She saved more easily. She even got an unexpected promotion. It wasn't magic, it was alignment. Her words shifted her energy, and her energy shifted her actions. You see, money is neutral. It's not good or evil. It doesn't carry morality in itself. It only reflects the energy we project onto it. If you see it as a burden, it feels heavy. If you see it as a blessing, it feels light. And the way you speak to it decides which one you experience. Think of a gardener. Two people can receive the same handful of seeds. One says, "These seeds are useless, they'll never grow." The other says, "These seeds are full of potential." Which one plants them carefully, waters them, and waits patiently? And which one throws them aside? The words you speak over money are the same. They determine whether you plant it wisely or waste it carelessly. Let me tell you about James, a small business owner. When he first started, every slow day terrified him. He would look at his register and mutter, "This is hopeless. Nobody's coming in. We're going to fail." The more he said it, the worse things seemed to get. Then a mentor challenged him, "Stop cursing your money. Bless it. Speak to it as though it's multiplying, even if right now it looks small." So James tried. At the end of each day, no matter how little he made, he said, "Thank you. This is a seed. This is growing. More is on the way." Slowly, things shifted. His stress lifted. He greeted customers with more warmth. Word of mouth spread. Within a year, his sales doubled. He said later, "Changing my words about money was the first sale I ever made." That's the secret. Abundance doesn't begin with money itself, it begins with how you speak to it. You can start practicing this in small ways. The next time you pay for groceries, instead of groaning, say, "Thank you for the ability to nourish myself and my family." When you pay your rent or mortgage, instead of, "There goes my money again," say, "Thank you for this roof over my head, for the safety it provides." These words may not change your bank account overnight, but they change your relationship with money. And once that relationship shifts, your decisions, habits, and opportunities begin to change too. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that words are a form of invisible currency. When you speak words of lack, you spend from an empty account. When you speak words of abundance, you deposit into a spiritual bank that always returns interest. Think of two people walking through the same storm. One says, "The rain is ruining everything." The other says, "This rain is watering the earth, making it fertile for tomorrow." The storm is the same, but the experience is different. That's how money works. The difference is not what you hold in your hand, but what you say about what you hold. So let me ask you, what do you say when you see your money? Do you curse it? Do you diminish it? Do you push it away with frustration? Or do you bless it, thank it, and invite it to multiply? Your answer to that question shapes your future. Because money doesn't expand in a heart that resents it. It expands in a heart that appreciates it. And that appreciation begins not with millions, not even with hundreds, but with the simple words you speak over the smallest coin in your pocket. So the next time money crosses your hands, pause. Look at it. Bless it. Speak gratitude. Because abundance doesn't wait until you're rich to show up. Abundance begins right now with your words. So here is the truth, my friends: money will never change until your words do. Your life will never shift until your language shifts. Abundance does not wait for some faraway future. It begins the moment you open your mouth. Every dollar you touch is listening. Every bill in your hand is waiting for your instruction. Will you curse it? Or will you bless it? Will you push it away with fear? Or will you invite it closer with gratitude? Say it with me: I bless my money. I bless my money. I bless my money. Because the more you bless it, the more it blesses you. The more you honor it, the more it honors you. The more you welcome it, the more it multiplies in your life. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for your big break. Start now. Start today. Start with the smallest coin, the smallest bill, the smallest moment of exchange. Bless it, speak life over it, and watch what happens. Remember this: abundance is not out there, it's in here. It's not someday, it's today. It's not waiting, it's listening. And if you forget everything else, hold on to this one truth: the words you speak to money will echo into the future you live.